The Plank, presented by Ram, continues on ABC Action News Now.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Plank. T. Korun along with John Sabol as we continue into our second half hour of this hour's show. We got a new segment that we're incorporating into this mediocre show.
Right. At least we're better than the football team.
Seriously, I'm only kidding. I'm trying to bring it down to a lower level. Pardon me? See, Christy says, I can hear you. It's not Christy's fault. It's all mine. No, I understand that we have pizzas to give away. Is that correct?
Ooh.
Do we really? But you're going to have to earn it. And who's giving us the pizza? Papa John's, baby.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have a little trivia question.
Well,
right?
we're
sort of, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a trivia question. It's a segment we're calling a Who Said That. So if you know who said this.
I want to be a part of a winner, and I want to be a part of an organization that wins, and it's not about me.
Then you can call in at 813-367-0171, and you could, if you get that correct, earn a free pizza courtesy of Papa John's. So,
what do you get on a pizza? Do we know? Anything they want?
Anything you want.
Is it a large one? Giant?
How about a Bucs?
Large one. Okay. So listen. All right. I know there were a lot of people that were lined up over at what's the names? The chicken joint the other day.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Okay. Oh, I know you people really want a free meal, so we're giving you one right now.
Yes.
A big pie. All right.
Right.
Big pie in the sky.
So if you know who said that, call us at 813-367-0171. We're going to be giving away pizzas here for the next half hour.
Okay. So, all right.
Yeah.
So here we'll play one more time, and listen in. And if you know who this is, call in and tell us who it is.
Who said this?
I love winning. I want to be a part of a winner, and I want to be a part of an organization that wins, and it's not about me.
Okay? So call that number, 813-367-0171. All right, if you know who that is, then you can win a pizza from Papa John's. And if you don't call, I'm eating it. Yeah, because then I'm hungry.
That's a pretty easy one. I got
that is quite
ones.
easy. Yeah. You got some tougher ones?
Oh, I do.
Well, I hope you do.
I do.
I also, I look at this and I look at this game against Atlanta. Number one, it may rain on Sunday.
Yeah.
I listened to Dennis Phillips in his forecast today. He said that the rain could bleed into at least 1 o'clock, probably the first half.
Right.
So if it rains, hopefully
that could bode well. That could bode well for the passing game because that means Josh McCown might not throw any interceptions, and then you're going to go right to the running game.
Well, that's true. That is true. That is true. And we can go to another thing too. I think Christy was telling me something. I keep hearing things.
We could go to our Matt McGuire with our fantasy segment.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Do we have Matt?
We do.
Matt's coming in early today, huh?
He came in early.
Is he on a run? Is he sitting in his truck again? That Ram truck? Is that right? And he talks to me.
Wow.
He talks to me?
That's
he talks. Period. Okay. All right. Well, good. Let's go to Matt McGuire right now, who gives us his fantasy tips for this week in the National Football League.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate. I'm Matt McGuire. And Tom, I heard your comment last week about how we get to hang out down here in this Ram truck. I've got the cooler right here. You and John need to find a grill, get some burgers, come on down. We'll just do the show from here going forward. What do you guys think about that? Well, let's start talking about some fantasy football. There were a couple key injuries last week, so I'll touch on those. The playoffs are just around the corner, so we'll talk about a couple of guys you may want to start putting in your lineup for the stretch run, and we'll talk about the Bucs. Now, it seems like it's even more of a mess than we imagined there in Tampa. We're talking about another change at quarterback, bringing McCown back in, putting Glennon on the bench. What that tells me is Mike Glennon's future probably isn't too bright here in Tampa. We're gearing up to have a top pick in this coming draft, and the Bucs might look to take a quarterback with that top pick. When I look at a couple of the other teams that are struggling this year, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Oakland Raiders, both of them are pretty set at the quarterback position. So the Bucs should have their choice of any quarterback coming out of the draft. But let's talk about the performance last week. Mike Glennon really had it going with Mike Evans. Evans had 7 catches, over 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So it's a little bit disappointing to know that they're not going to be able to build on that success that they had last week. We'll see if McCown can come in and capitalize on Mike Evans' more experience now that he's had a couple games under his belt. Vincent Jackson's still out there, and he's kind of hit or miss. The running game is still a disaster. Doug Martin's pretty much non-existent. It looks like it's going to be Bobby Rainey. We've also got Charles Sims coming in this week, and I'm interested to see how he can do. The coaches really rave about his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, so we'll see if the Bucs can incorporate that into the offense. Now let's talk about a couple of those injuries. Most notably, Arian Foster went down with a groin injury, and watching the highlight of it, he seemed pretty frustrated by the injury. He threw the helmet down in disgust, so I don't know if that's a sign that it's going to be significant. It's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks. Now, the Texans are on bye this week, so you have a week at least to kind of see how that's going to play out. But if it does keep him out for any significant amount of time, you're going to want to look to Alfred Blue to pick up. He played well when Arian Foster missed a game earlier on in the season, and he'll be the go-to running back there for the Texans. The other major injury was Nick Foles for the Philadelphia Eagles. He broke his collarbone, and he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. So what that means is Mark Sanchez is actually getting another shot here in the NFL. And I don't believe I'm saying this, but Mark Sanchez might actually be somebody you want to pick up on your roster this week. He's in a completely different offensive system in Philadelphia than what he was in with the Jets. But yeah, that's right, Mr. Butt Fumble himself threw 2 touchdown passes last week in just 3 quarters. Chip Kelly runs that high-powered, quick-hitting offense there, and I think that could play well to Mark Sanchez's strengths. So you want to keep an eye on Sanchez, especially if you've got a quarterback on a bye week or you have an injury at that position. Now let's talk about a couple guys you're going to want to add. I'll start with Jeremy Hill in Cincinnati. He had a huge week last week, over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now Gio Bernard was out with an injury, and it looks like he might not be ready to go this Thursday against the Browns. So if that's the case, Hill's going to get a lot of work. If he has another productive week, he'll be more of part of the offense going forward, even when Bernard does come back. Another guy I want to talk about is Devontae Adams, the wide receiver in Green Bay. He solidified himself as the 3rd wide receiver, and I think we all know how much Aaron Rodgers loves those 3rd wide receivers. The last game the Packers played, Adams was on the field for over 90% of the snaps. And if he stays on the field that much going forward, he's a pretty good bet to see some receptions and some touchdowns. And the last guy I want to talk about is Ryan Matthews in San Diego. He hasn't played since week 1, and he's coming back off an injury. Now, if he is fully healthy, he'll step right in there as the starting running back for the Chargers. The Chargers have been very good offensively, and Phillip Rivers will look to him out of the backfield a lot. So those are the 3 guys that you may want to look for this week. That's all I've got. I'm Matt McGuire. Thanks again for watching the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate here on The Plank.
All right, so Matt wants us to join him down there for burgers.
Let's do it.
Okay, you buying?
Well, I could, but
How about I buy you fly?
How about we get some pizza?
Yeah, we got to give away pizza first.
We could, yeah.
Okay. All right, folks, in case you just joined us here on The Plank, what we have is a new segment, and Who Said This? And listen to this, and if you could tell us who said this, give us a call at 813-367-0171, and you can win yourself a pizza from Papa John's. Here it is.
I love winning. I want to be a part of a winner, and I want to be a part of an organization that wins, and it's not about me.
Who could that be?
God, I wonder who that is.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
That's an easy one, folks. You want a free pizza, give us a call, 813-367-0171.
I mean, we can't make it any easier than that.
I mean, that's pretty easy.
You got them harder after this?
Yeah, I should make them easier than that. Maybe they should just be our voices.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But, by the way, you can put anything on this pizza.
Right.
All right?
Maybe a Bucs win.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you do that,
we were
sounds
talking,
good.
just getting into this game against Atlanta. We were talking with JP up there in Atlanta. It just, this game, let's face it, it's a 2-6 football team against a 1-7 football team. They're both fighting to keep out of the cellar in the NFC South. It's not going to be a Picasso or a Van Gogh. It might even rain.
It's going to be a first-grade kindergarten coloring book.
Yeah, but I do want to, in my mind, what I want to see, which I said I think maybe 3 weeks ago, is I want to see a little fire from the Buccaneers coming out on a football field, because
if you don't
they need to show it.
And if you don't get that fire in this game after what Lovie Smith and what Gerald McCoy said, then when are you going to get it? I think this could be we've talked about in the past, a breaking point for this team. Well, I think it's safe to say jobs are on the line this week. Maybe not for next week's game, but I mean for next year. The players in the Buccaneers are playing for their jobs for next year. It doesn't matter who you are, with probably the exception of like Gerald McCoy and Levante David and Mike Evans maybe. But you got to think about this. This is a new regime that came in here, so your chance right now, you're not going to make the playoffs, regardless of what they're saying of being, yeah, we're still in the division. The division's that bad. Yeah, I mean, mathematically, you're still in it, but realistically, you're not going to make it. So you're playing for your jobs, and if they don't like it, they're going to make a big overhaul. I expect this team to have a roster be completely overhauled next year.
You know, and listening to what JP had to say about dumping off to the running backs because it's a 15, 20-yard gift, which has been all season. Y'all might want to start thinking about if you got Rainey, you know, or you've got Sims sitting on your roster, you may want to think about loading those boys up and make them active.
Right.
Because they could have a big game here. The only thing that scares me is the rain. That's the only thing, you know. All right, that's all. I'm concerned about, because if it does rain, I could see certainly the Buccaneers getting concerned.
Right, it's going to be strictly pound and ground football. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see. I think the Buccaneers have a shot. I don't think it's as dismal as we all think, just because the Falcons are that bad. They've gotten a lot worse than what happened.
I think the
September.
Bucs. Forget the score.
Yeah.
The Bucs are a better football team than what they showed that week, and they're a better football team than they were at that time. I'm not so sure the Falcons are.
Right.
I think the Falcons have regressed. I think the Buccaneers have ticked it, you know, up a little bit, but they were so low in the total poll. Now they're pretty close. So I don't see this being.
And the other thing
one
too
of
is
those
one thing to
blowout
look for
type
is that Falcons offensive line is bad, and the Buccaneers have been getting to the quarterback a little bit more. Last week they did it to Brian Hoyer. It's progressing. Gerald McCoy had, I think, 2 sacks last week, so that could be a silver lining if they can get that done, and that's something to look forward to as well.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right back. You got a free pizza hanging out there right now from Papa John's. If you could tell us who said this, call this number at 813-367-0171. Play it, listen, give us a call when we come back here on The Play.
I love winning. I want to be a part of a winner, and I want to be a part of an organization that wins, and it's not about me.